Give me what I need, give me what I want that speed.
Nestled at the northern tip of the Carolina Sandhills sits Richmond County, North Carolina, the home to one of the most legendary short tracks in the Tar Heel State. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, race fans. Welcome to Rockingham, North Carolina, as we bring you into today's coverage of race number 7, the 2026 season of the NR2003 Mission BBQ Cup Series, the SRI Performance 400. Live from the Rockingham Speedway, once again, welcome everybody to today's Intercast on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright, and our first of 2 short track races of the season is just minutes away from getting underway. 400 miles around this just under a mile oval here at The Rock. After firstly going to NASCAR's real-life return to Rockingham last season, to say that this track is a smidge underrated would be a massive understatement. We're proud to be back here for the 5th time in NBCS history at one of my personal favorite tracks in all of NR2003. It's our second straight race in the Carolinas after a controversial but thoroughly entertaining race down in Greenville, Spartanburg last week, with Danny Fallington getting the win in the Slap-On Location 500, his first with his new team, the newly expanded Fallout Racing in that Fallout Racing Twisty Treat number 9 Ford. The points once again getting shaken up as we get our first look at the top 12 in points coming into Rockingham this season. Starting with an 18th place finish was good enough to put Logan Williams back in the points lead after Greenville Spartanburg, and Danny Fallington, along with today's pole sitter Bryce Egan, jumping up in the standings as well. Those guys make out the top 3 with Thomas Troxell, Keegan Thompson, and Matthew Hubert rounding out the top 6 in the point standings. Falling down 6 positions after a rough outing last week was Mateus Bento in the 71, and Cole Sampson, Alex Vitale, and Russell Blaze currently all populate the top 10 in points. Defending series champion Corey Case fell down to 11th in the standings, but he would be the second wildcard driver in if the chase started today. The other one being Daniel Bouchard, who's the only race winner that sits outside the top 10 in points. He's down in 15th, and currently on the bubble right now for the chase would be Eric Monaco, Bradley Ream, and Toby Murphy. They sit 12th, 13th, and 14th in the standings respectively to round out all the drivers inside the top 15. 21 races still remain in the regular season for the Mission BBQ Cup Series, so a lot can still transpire. And again, after the Duncan Month of Speed is where things are really going to pick up. That's where we're going to see drivers get really aggressive. But these 10 races prior to the Duncan Month of Speed are going to be really great chances for these drivers to try to get some wins, try to get some points for some of these rookies, trying to get a little bit more experience under their belts. Just trying to get yourself into a good position heading towards the chase, which 21 weeks does not seem like a long time, but it is closely getting there. We're already on race number 7 of the season here at Rockingham, and much like Darlington, tire management is going to be the biggest key for drivers today. From a fuel standpoint, we expect about 44 to 46 laps on a run for these drivers, but for tires, we might see 2 stops this afternoon. You can probably take about 10 laps off the fuel run, so probably about 35 to 40 laps right at the midway point of stage number 2 is where we're going to see that first pit stop, and potentially probably just a quick 2-tire pit stop, only maybe a half tank of gas late in the running if the fall off is as sharp as we see at tracks such as Classic Darlington or even modern-day Bristol with the Cup cars. And as we see with a lot of short tracks, the inside lane is going to be the preferred line at the very start of a run, but one of the ways that makes Rockingham such a fun track is that it's got so much grip in the corners with the banking it's got, and once these Hoosiers begin to wear out, the longer we get into a green flag run, watch these drivers shoot up to the middle and high lanes to try to find even more grip. It's once again a race day today at the Rockingham Speedway, and it's time to bring in the action, and it's time to bring the noise. Let's get on trackside for the most famous words in motorsport to fire the engines for the SRI Performance 400 at The Rock.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 cars fired to life on the pit lane here at the Rockingham Speedway, and we are ready to go here in the Carolina Sandhills. Bryce Egan starts from the pole position in that JBL number 90, one of 3 NS Racing cars to start inside the top 10. In fact, the blue ovals of Egan and the 27 of Rogel Dorn will round out the front row with the Ford sweep in row number 1. Dodge sweeps row number 2 with the SRI Performance car of Daniel Georgi. The inside of Campbell Marsh in 31. The 84 of Alexander Rowe starts the inside of Nathan Stapleton for row number 3. There's a look at Keegan Thompson, 2-time winner here at the Rockingham Speedway, starting up in the 37th spot. Your points leader, Logan Williams, also starting from deep in the field as well. Two veterans having to make their way from the back of the field to the front, but it's the rookie, the freshman of Bryce Egan, looking for that second win of the season. He'll lead the field to the green flag. Let's rock and roll here at the Rock, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Campo Marsh hard into the outside wall off of turn number 4, but he's able to keep that 31 machine straight, and already shooting out like a rocket is Bryce Egan in that 90 machine. So field will head back around for the second time today. Logan Williams into the outside wall a little bit hard in the 17, and now Alexander Rowe utilizing that inside lane. Like we said at the top of the show, with Sarah Taylor hard in the outside wall as well. Just we were talking about the inside lane being the preferred line. The outside lane on the beginning of these runs, like we said, is going to be very problematic. She's in the outside wall once again. She's out of shape, and around hard into the inside wall goes Charlie Davenport. Is that enough to bring out the caution flag? Yes, it is. Yellow flag out on the speedway, and now Cole Sampson out of shape right in front of Dylan Matthews. And we've got two different accidents here on the speedway as Corey Case comes flying in. He's able to hold on to it. Danny Fallington, Carson Miller catching a little bit of a piece. And, ooh, Charlie Davenport slamming on the brakes to prevent that Ream 98 car from sustaining any more damage. And the yellow flag has come out for the opening time today. And, well, things can go south in a hurry, and they certainly went south in a hurry for a lot of these drivers. Esteban Lacer, he's destroyed in the 64. His streak of bad luck will continue. And we're going to get a couple of cars that are going to stay out here. Surprisingly enough, we're going to get some split strategy. It's Brandon Wilmington and Braden Perez, 2/3 of the Pacific Racing Camp, are going to stay out. Dylan Matthews in that 75, she is destroyed. Stano Georgi will be out and away off of the pit lane. Second right behind Bryce Egan. Rogaldorn will lose a couple of spots in the process. Well, a pretty fiery start to the SRI Performance 400, all things considered, and Bryce Egan is going to have a couple of cars staying out in front of him. In fact, about a third of the field is going to stay out here. Brandon Wilmington saying, you know what? We only ran, 3 laps under full song on these Hoosier tires. I'm going to stay out. I'm going to roll the dice, and that's exactly what about a quarter of the field is going to do here. It's Bryce Egan, first car in line. And now Alex Lozano, he's got an issue in the 11 car. Dylan Matthews has pulled her automobile behind the wall. Same thing with Esteban Lacer. But Brandon Wilmington is going to be your race leader here after a quick caution flag in the opening couple of laps here in the SRI Performance 400. Brandon Wilmington leads here on her first caution flag. So Skylar Taylor was already a little bit out of control opening this lap, and she gets into the outside wall once again into Esteban Lacer, careens back up the track, and that Costco Camry is just pretty much out of control at this point. Gets into Corey Case, who pinballs all the way down to last week's pole sitter, Charlie Davenport, who has a titanic shot hard into that inside safer barrier. And both those cars going around, the caution flag immediately being displayed. And a tough start to the race for Sarah Taylor, still trying to get that first win of the season, and it has not been a great title defense over these last couple of weeks for Corey Case. And back up in here, they're 3 wide. They're threatening to go 4 wide off for the corner. Cole Sampson very wide, hits the wall, goes right back down into Daniel Voiles, shoots back up the track in a very similar fashion to what we saw with Sarah Taylor. And up into the other Otter Island Motorsports car, Dylan Matthews, and her bad luck so far this season continues. Matthew Huber also got a piece, and Keegan Thompson and Logan Williams a little bit of a touch there between the 17 and the 14. So 2 separate crashes put us under our first caution flag of the day, and last week's winner, Danny Fallington, getting a little bit of a piece there on the 5. So it looks like after all of that, Dalen Matthews will be the only retiree from our opening crash of the afternoon. We'll get another couple looks at it. First on board with the 98 of Charlie Davenport. Hard shot driver's side into that safer barrier. Fortunately, he is able to not only drive away, but he is all right, taking a pretty hard hit in that ream forward. Then on board with Dylan Matthews in the second accident on this lap. Sampson up into the outside wall and just nowhere for that 75 car to go. A very tough break for her. Out of this race here in that 75. One final look at this accident in real time following the 45 of Sarah Taylor. Out of control in that Camry. Charlie Davenport hard into that wall. He was able to drive away from the accident scene, and caution number 2 also partially caused by the 45. Last year's Daytona 500 champion Dylan Matthews out of the race as well, as is Esteban Lasser. You're going to see why. A bumper grab from Owen Miles and a hard shot directly into the pit barrels. We'll take out last year's Hillside Day winner for 3 different incidences here on lap number 4 to put us under our opening caution flag of the day. And, well, split strategy, the name of the game here off of this opening caution flag is Brennan Wilmington. Going to be one of 11 or 12 cars to stay out on track. He will be the race leader. We'll go back through the gears here in just a couple of moments at the Rockingham Speedway, cleaning up caution number 1 of today's SRI Performance 400. Getting a good look at that number 62 Tillamook Toyota Camry as we're back here at the Rockingham Speedway, cleaning up caution number 1 of the afternoon. 2 cars were knocked out from that accident on lap number 3. Dylan Matthews and Esteban Lasser pulling their cars behind the wall. 40 cars are still in the race as Alex Lozano, who was 1 lap down, is finally getting some service in that 11 machine, but everybody else that was involved in those accidents starting deep in the field. I'm surprised Charlie Davenport is still in the race given the hit that he sustained on the inside wall. Brennan Wilmington will lead the field back through the Reese's restart zone. Wilmington, Perez, Riley Sampson, Bouchard, and Bento, your top 5 going back through the gears here at Rockingham. The top 13 cars all staying out during that opening caution sequence, and we'll see just how much these relatively fresher tires are going to be as Bryce Egan restarting in that 14th spot along with Dano Georgi and everybody else that came down the pit lane, and we'll see just how much of an advantage they've got. Meanwhile, if you're Braden Perez, you've got a pretty good chance of getting some points here today and potentially ending that very, very long winless streak. Daniel Bouchard looking for that second win of the season, trying to get a little bit mojo back on his side after dropping outside of the top 10 in points. Same thing with Riley Sampson in the 24. He's to the inside of Perez, who will go a little bit up the racetrack. Perez on the outside, and all this is happening behind that 62 machine. Brennan Wilmington as these guys will thunder around turns 3 and 4, banked slightly more than turns 1 and 2. 25 degrees in turns 1 and 2, or turns 3 and 4 compared to 22 degrees in turns 1 and 2. Keeping an eye on where that 90 car is. He has not gotten around either Aaron Abel or Matthew Hubert, 2 cars that stayed out. Might get around Hubert, who's got a lot of, he's got a lot of incidents. Oh, speaking of an incident, what a save! As a couple of rookies, Aaron Abel and Egan, nearly getting tied up. They did get tied up, and they were able to make a great save off of turn number 4 and keep both of their cars straight. And I think Egan, he's certainly a lot faster than this 48 car is right now. See if he's able to get around. We'll see if he's going to have to fight a 2-front war with Dano Georgi, who's right on his heels. Georgi trying to get down to the inside, and now Matthew Hubert will begin to drop back. We're going to have 4 wide off of the corner, and nearly a little bumper grab there between Alexander Rowe and Fitzwater. Fitzy just had to jump out of the gas, and he is Still in the middle of 3 wide. On the outside of 3 wide is Matthew Hubert. He gets into Roberto Crown Jr. And now Matthew Hubert's starting to hemorrhage some spots in that 23, and he's got a couple of big donuts on the right-hand side of that Zinn machine. So all the action in the middle of the pack right now, and Dano Georgi will be the first car on 4 tires. He'll get around the 90 of Braden Perez back up to the front. It's not a race on the NR2003 without us missing a pass for the race lead as Braden Perez, Daytona 500 champion from 2024, and that was his last win here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Getting back out front in that Hulu 92. Riley Sampson and Brendan Wilmington all in line with one another, and the yellow flag has come out for the second time. Campbell Marsh has gone around off of turn number 2. And his day looks to be done, and the sophomore slump is absolutely continuing for the driver of that 31 car, and the caution flag has flown for the second time today at Rockingham. And oh, we got a couple of cars going around. Sarah Taylor getting jammed up with Cole Sampson on the cool down lap, and like we saw last week from Bradley Ream, Ryan Durrani, he's also got some crinkle damage on the hood of that number 86. I think he may have ran right in the back end of Daniel Voiles. We got a lot of cars coming down the pit lane. Everybody is coming down. It's feeding time here at the Rockingham Speedway. Braden Perez led the field back to the caution flag. And I believe it's going to be 4 tires for just pretty much everybody, with most of the field coming down for the second time today. And we'll see if anybody elects to take 2 tires. Perez out and away in the 92. Nobody's going to beat him off of the pit lane. And Brendan Wilmington, he's going to leapfrog Riley Sampson. He did not have a good pit stop whatsoever in that 24. The pit stop woes as of recently will continue for Riley Sampson, as he's going to lose 3 spots in the pit area. Brendan Wilmington and Braden Perez are the first 2 cars off of the pits. We'll see, there might be a couple of cars, nearly some contact between the 63 and the 45, but I think everybody besides Alex Lozano is going to be the pace truck off of the pit lane. It might be close for Matthew Hubert. It is not. So everybody but Alex Lozano will beat the pace truck off. Campbell Marsh has pulled his car behind the wall. And his, like we said, sophomore season has not been what you want whatsoever. Yet another DNF for a driver who was so good with not DNFing at all last season. But Braden Perez, thanks to that track position and the strategy that he and Brandon Wilmington called after that opening caution, we're under caution number 2, and those 2 still remain out front. So we're in the late stages of stage number 1. We're in the SRI Performance 400 from Rockingham. Well, to say it's been a tough start to the sophomore season for Campbell Marsh would be an understatement. He overcooks it going through turn 2. And like we saw with Sarah Taylor, out of control, goes down into Ryan Durrani, broadside to the rest of the pack. And unlike Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, when he is in trouble, he is going to bring out a caution flag. And Carson Miller, he hasn't had a whole lot of good luck this season. He careens up into Corey Case, who's involved in his 2nd consecutive accident. Not the best start to the race for both of those drivers either. But they're able to keep it straight for the time being, as Campbell Marsh in that Stanley 31 car once again turned around. I don't even think he has a top 5 yet this season. It has been a very, very, very tough start to the season for the sophomore driver. Still looking for his first career win. But nonetheless, under our 2nd caution flag of the afternoon here at Rockingham, we'll get another look at this accident. Following on board with Campbell Marsh, who by the hood damage was clearly into the wall a couple of different times. And going around, just getting sideswiped by that 63 car. And you can tell by the contents of the engine spewing out, his day is done. A tough break for that Titan Fury Racing Dodge 31 team. One final look into real time as Campbell Marsh brings out caution number 2 of the afternoon. And 3 3 cars involved in this accident so far, and this is one thing that we didn't pick up on the initial replay. It's also been a little tough start to the season for Alex Lozano, and it continues here. You're going to see why, as Marsh is going back up through, just a little bit too high up on track, and Alex Lozano is going to run right into the rear end of that 31 to essentially just adding an insult to an injury, as Marsh was already going to retire from the race, but that was going to absolutely confirm it. And same thing with Alex Lozano. Looks like his day will be done as well. But Braden Perez led the field off of the pit lane. We'll see what he can do here on the restart. Cleaning up caution number 2 of the SRI Performance 400 early on here at Rockingham. Braden Perez remains the race leader as we're back here at the Rockingham Speedway, cleaning up caution number 2 of the afternoon. Charlie Davenport was actually caught a lap down in that 98 machine, so he will be the only car that's off the lead lap. He's actually 2 laps down after getting some more repairs. 4 cars out of the race. You can add Campbell Marsh and Alex Lozano to that list of drivers. Perez, Wilmington, and Igor Barreto right now the top 3. Daniel Bouchard and Riley Sampson, who fell down to 5th, will round out your top 5. And here we go with 6 laps to go in stage number 1. Good jump off of the restart for Perez. And here we go. See if we can get maybe a caution-free last couple of laps here in stage number 1. And Igor Barreto saying absolutely not. He's going to force the 62 into the outside wall. And we were 3 wide there for position for a brief moment. And Charlie Davenport going to hold up Daniel Bouchard a little bit. Coming back around, Bouchard has gotten around the stricken 98 machine, and Davenport, well, now he's just trying to race a little bit here. Again, he's 2 laps down. It doesn't look like he's going to be getting any of his laps back anytime soon, as he's still filtering his way deep throughout this field. Back at the front, battle for second brewing is Igor Barreto, still looking for that second career win. That 13 machine up to second around Brennan Wilmington. It's been a little while since Igor Barreto has been to Gatorade Victory Lane. He also got to go back to 2024 when he won at the Chicagoland Speedway. But Braden Perez right now out of here. He's got a rocket strapped to his rear end and got 2 more laps. Try to get around here, or 3 more laps, excuse me. Try to get around here and win this first stage of the afternoon. Feeling a little bit split up. We got some stragglers in the back that have been involved in a couple of different incidences. And right now, this battle for the points lead is going pretty well. You know, you got Danny Fallington. He's up to second in the point standings. Of course, there's the points leader of Logan Williams in that Hershey 17 machine. Alex Sanvitale, he's also in the back as well, and you got to go up to Bryce Egan. I believe he is the highest of everybody inside the top 5 in the point standings. Thomas Troxel, Troxel's a little bit in front of him. He's actually inside the top 5. You know, Thomas Troxel, we mentioned it at Greenville-Spartanburg, and when we mentioned it in qualifying for Greenville-Spartanburg, he's been a very quiet but consistent driver all season long. You know, we haven't seen a whole lot of him. He has just been quietly getting those top 15, top 10. You know, I think he's got maybe 1 top 5 finish on the season so far. You know, looking at the data, he doesn't have, he's got 2 top 5 finishes in that Vitamin Water 00. So he has been sneaky consistent as Braden Perez wins stage number 1 that last time by. We can completely forgot to mention it, at least vocally. We will show in the graphic by now. Braden Perez with his first stage win in quite some time, if I'm not mistaken. We're off and running in stage number 2 with Igor Barreto hot on that Hulu 92 car's heels. Trying to find a way around Perez, and Perez holding on for the time being. We're going to go on board with this 13 machine. We'll take you for a couple of laps around the Rockingham Speedway. This battle for the race lead between Igor Barreto and Braden Perez. Right now, Alexander Rowe with the fastest lap in the race at 21.9. And Perez that last time by running a 22.5, so these guys already shedding 0.6 of a second off of where they were in terms of fast lap time, so we're already starting to see the fall off come into play a lot. You can hear the back tires swinging out a little bit there. Yeah, these guys love to run a very loose setup here at Rockingham, and that's exactly what they've been doing. And we'll look from the back end of Braden Perez. See what Barretto is doing. I think he's just trying to run maybe a line lower than him. Nothing too shabby, nothing too aggressive. He had a jam on the brakes there a little bit as Perez was going the wrong direction. You can just absolutely hear those rear tires screaming out right now. Based on how much these guys are just entering through the corner. Approaching the midway point through the race rapidly as Rowe continues to have the fastest lap of the race. How about the two Death Rider racing cars running right, 1-2, right, nose to tail. That's the official terminology as Mateus Bento on the outside of those drivers. That is the battle for the 8th position. All those guys currently inside the top 10. Bento looks like he might be on the losing part, and he might lose a little bit more track position if Nathan Stapleton is going to have anything to say about that. I'm liking where Thomas Troxel is sitting right now. Of course, we mentioned him not too long ago. But in terms of getting this points lead, I'm liking where he's sitting. He's right now, again, he's got 2 top 5 finishes on the season so far, a handful of top 10s, and right now, he's just sitting in 6th. You know, he's not doing anything too special, too out of the ordinary. He's doing exactly what you need to do in a points format like this, in which you just need to get consistent top 15, top 10, top 5 finishes. You would love a win. That's exactly what Braden Perez would love right now. And especially when, again, we're still very early on in the season. You saw what happened with Danny Fallington last week. A win slingshotted him all the way up. I think he was maybe 14th or 15th in the standings. He's all the way up to 2nd coming into today. Not sure he's going to remain there, but still, a win can absolutely slingshot you up the standings. And well, someone that's going backwards right now is Igor Barretto, as he looks to have used up a lot of his stuff trying to find that 92 car for the race lead. It's now a 3-horse race for the top spot on the pylon, as Barretto right now in the middle of a Pacific Racing sandwich. Wilmington trying to get down to the inside of him. And Igor is kind of like the modern-day Ryan Newman. He is a very, very difficult driver to pass. Barretto, the heavily jaded veteran, along with Wilmington, who's also a little bit of a, in terms of actual NR content, he is still a little bit of a rookie coming back onto the scene in 2026, while Igor Barretto has been on here for the last at least 10 years or so. But in terms of the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, Wilmington is the veteran. You see it right there. Quickly got around that 13 machine, and Barretto in these NBCS Cup cars still having a little bit to learn. And he is dropping back considerably, and so has the pace, which has dropped off considerably. Again, Alexander Rose still with the fastest lap of 21.9. We're down to the 23.5s, nearly down to the 23.6s. I think we're certainly going to get down to the 23.6s this next time by, and the pace has just absolutely dropped off a cliff for all of these drivers. And, well, again, it's the tire wear. 25.93 that last time by for Braden Perez, and now Barretto wants that 2nd spot away. Riley Sampson has gone up into the fray to make it a 4-horse race for the top spot. 10 laps to go in stage number 2, and well, we could see these guys come down the pit lane shortly. Last time they came back down the pit lane was, I believe that was lap number 13 or 14, so it has been quite a little bit of time since these guys have come down the pit lane, and well, these tires are certainly showing it right now. as we're officially past the halfway point in this race, so we can cue the Bon Jovi "We're Halfway Home" for today's running of the SRI Performance 400. Since we might be very close to a pit window, we're not going to do an official race break, but we will send things downstairs to go through the field. Presented by Fram, Braden Perez, right now the race leader, has led 29, making 30 laps on the afternoon, has dominated the middle part of this race. Brennan Wilmington has led 8 laps. He's in second. Igor Barreto in that third spot. Riley Sampson runs in fourth. And rounding out the top 5, Reggie Fogelman looking to bounce back after a couple of rough weeks in that Diet Coke number 3. Thomas Truxell still in 6th, your Daytona 500 champion Daniel Bouchard in 7th for the 07. Good battle for 8th brewing here between Russell Blaze and Mateus Bento for that 8th spot. And rounding out the top 10, Wyatt Walker with a lot of rookies still in the front end of this pack. 11th runs Logan Alexander. 12th is Aaron Abel. 13th is going to be Rogel Dorn. 14th, Nathan Stapleton. 15th is going to be Dano Georgi. 16th, Alex Sanvitale. 17th, the 21 machine of Roberto Crown Jr. 18th, the Colonel Caleb Rose. 19th is the 18 of Angel Gutierrez. And 20th, the current points leader, Logan Williams. 21st with a lot of donuts on the passenger side of that. JBL 90 cards, your pole sitter Bryce Egan, who's dropped back into that 21st spot. Starting the back end of the field, the 84, Alexander Rowe in the 22nd spot. Eric Monaco in 23rd. Daniel Voiles runs 24th. Zachary Fitzwater down in 25th. Keegan Thompson, defending winner of this race and 2-time winner of this race as well. He's in P26. 27th is Bradley Ream. 28th, Michael Lewis. 29th is last week's winner, Danny Fallington. And 30th is Owen Miles. 31st, Ryan Durrani. 32nd is going to be Matthew Hubert. 33rd is going to be Toby Murphy. 34th is going to be Cole Sampson. 35th is Sarah Taylor. 36th, Carson Miller. 37th, defending series champion Corey Case. And last on the field, 38th, is Charlie Davenport. That's going to be your full field rundown here, presented by Fram, as Igor Barreto has slipped back quite a ways away. And again, this fall off for these guys has completely fallen off a cliff. 24.45 for Braden Perez that last time by, and I would not be surprised for either a caution flag or these guys to come down the pit lane. Probably right at the end of stage number 2, but actually Rogel Dorn, who we've seen get into the outside wall a couple of different times, he's going to come down. Got about 31 laps to go, and these guys did about 31 laps on their tires. They split the end of this stage, or the end of this race, right in half. I think that might work. I wouldn't be surprised to see Braden Perez come down. Not this next time by, but maybe within the next couple of laps here as we're at the end of stage number 2. Again, if you're Perez and if you're Wilmington as well, who's right now one of those bubble drivers we were mentioning, you're just trying to get as many points as you can. Coming off of turns 3 and 4, sweeping the stages, that Hulu 92 of Braden Perez will win this second stage. Brandon Wilmington will finish second in the stage as well and getting that final stage point. I believe it's going to be Wyatt Walker, and it will be. We are off and running for the final 29 laps of today's race. Alexander Rowe, no surprise to see him still with the fastest lap of the afternoon at 29.964. And with 28 to go, these guys are going to have to come down the pit lane. Rogel Dorn has come down, and now here we go. A substantial amount of cars are going to come down the pit lane, led by Daniel Bouchard, and staying out here are going to be a couple more drivers. These guys got to be careful coming both on and off the pit lane. But here we go, Rogel Dorn, Brennan Wilmington, and everybody else are going to come down here on lap number 52. This is the money stop for all these drivers, and they got to be careful coming down here. You do not want to trigger a yellow flag. Perez all the way down 45 miles an hour on the pit lane. Wyatt Walker will get out. We had some 3 wide up in there between the 86 and the 18. Perez obviously going to be taking 4 fresh Hoosier tires as everybody will cycle back out on track. I I don't think anybody else stayed out an extra lap. Again, these guys were screaming for 4 Mr. Feelgoods. Braden Perez out and away. Brennan Wilmington is going to be right on his tail as well. And this is going to absolutely shake things up as everybody's coming off of the pit lane. Thomas Troxel, I think, I don't think he stayed down an extra lap, but he's back down the pit lane. That might hurt him cycle-wise. Right now it's showing Perez still as that race leader currently. Oh, tough break for Bryce Egan. Something going wrong. Actually, no, just an extended pit stop for Egan to repair that damage. And what was looking to be a promising day for the pole sitter is going to go down the tubes. And he will likely be trapped a lap down after this whole sequence will cycle out. I believe it's going to cycle around to be Braden Perez still with the race lead, and it will. How about Daniel Bouchard? You know, he's going to have one less lap in terms of a tire freshness, which, you know, again, given how much fall off we saw from a lot of these guys, might come back to bite him. But it came down on the undercut, and he slingshot himself all the way back up into third. I think given the tire wear that we've seen, I wouldn't be surprised if he falls maybe down to 6th or 7th. But how about Mateus Bento as well? He was part of that first group that came down, and talk about a recovery after last week's mishap at Greenville-Spartanburg if he's able to hold on to that position currently in P4. And Reggie Fogelman, same thing for him in that 5th spot. Riley Sampson and Igor Barreto dropping back a little ways away as well. But it has been quite a long time for Braden Perez since he has gone to Gatorade Victory Lane. Not quite at the length we've seen some other drivers, but it's still been a long time. But again, he's still got to hold off a hard-charging Brennan Wilmington, who's quickly caught right up to him. And again, you can't count out Daniel Bouchard. You can't count out Mateus Bento either. But Wilmington running some really quick lap times. Whatever setup and whatever adjustments they put in that Tillamook 62, he is dialed in, and he is trying to get underneath of his teammate. Wilmington with a pretty good run off the back end of the corner. Charlie Davenport holding up Daniel Bouchard just a little bit. Perez right now just a little bit slower than Brennan Wilmington that last time by. Yeah, just a little bit slower by 6/1000ths of a second. So Wilmington right on the back end of that 92 machine. He might have a ledge this time around. Will just stay tucked in. We go on board with Wilmington. We'll see just how close this battle looks out on track. We got under 20 laps to go, and we saw this same thing with Igor Barreto, where it was going to be very tough for these guys to pass. You can easily catch up to these drivers, but once you're up to the rear end, it's just a little pocket of air. You know, it's not a ton as we see at a track like Michigan, and the caution flag has come out. Yellow flag on the speedway. And somebody has gone around, and we got a big issue. Russell Blaze, Corey Case, who's absolutely destroyed in the 63. And the caution flag flying late in the going with 18 laps to go. And that is going to reel everybody back into this battle. And oh boy, the $1 million question now becomes, do we see these guys come back down the pit lane just 11 laps after coming down? Does not look like that they will. If the pits are even open here, I do believe, yeah, they are open. But nobody's going to roll the dice. And that, what we saw the very tail end of that as Russell Blaze and Corey Case getting into a pretty big accident. And that was the last thing that Braden Perez wanted to see was the yellow caution lights coming out for the third time today. And we'll go ahead and take a look and see what happened as Russell Blaze, who was running just outside of the top 10 at the time, running over Corey Case, who has had a pretty rough day, all things considered. But Braden Perez, your current leader, here under caution number 3, late in the SRI Performance 400. It has not been a good day for Corey Case as he was trying to come down the pit lane. Something going wrong on that 63 machine, trying to pit from the second lane, and that is going to jam up this entire little mini pack here as everybody was able to get by on the outside. Wyatt Walker just barely able to get around the 24, but ARCA breaks right into the back end of the 63 and turns that Hi Guys Motorsports Camry broadside of the pack. Gets a little bit of a hit there from Riley Sampson. It's going to buckle the front end of that peak number 24. And fortunately, or rather, fortunately at the moment, it looked like that was going to be the only thing on the caution flag comes out. It looked like it was just going to be maybe a 3-car incident. But lo and behold, all the way coming back through here, and you can see Russell Blaze already trying to scrub off speed in that 29. And it is going to be a Death Rider Racing 1-2 blow here in just a couple of moments. He's trying to get up the racetrack. He gets shoved down low by Owen Miles. And this is going to be a Titanic shot right into that left rear quarter panel. You see that whole QP ripped completely clean off of that Camry. The entire gas tank exposed, and fortunately, number one, this is a video game, but fortunately, no fire and nothing too dangerous, but that is about as damaged as I have seen one of these Gen 4 cars before. You go back to last season when Carson Miller, speak of the devil as he's driving by, when Carson Miller went up into the catch fence at Armory Digital in the regular season finale. His car wasn't that damaged, but a couple of really big hits, and, well, that's really been Russell Blaze's MO over these last couple of weeks. Some really hard shots for that 29 driver, and he is knocked out of the event here late in the going. It's going to set up a pretty good tire battle between Braden Perez and Brennan Wilmington, a couple of those Pacific Racing teammates. But nonetheless, we'll get some more looks at this accident and get you guys back to the restart here at Rockingham. Following on board with Corey Case, and you can see, right there, he blows a tire, immediately trying to get back down the track. Gets run over by the 24, and he's just broadside. He is helpless as everybody is racing back to the caution flag. There's the 29er, Russell Blaze, completely destroying that 63 Camry, and that Grand Blue Fantasy Camry absolutely totaled here late in the going at Rockingham. On board with Russell Blaze, you can see he's trying to scrub off speed and plows right into that driver's side quarter panel, that 63, and that Dead by Daylight 29 machine absolutely destroyed here at Rockingham. A rock solid, a rock hard hit here at the Rock. Go on board with Ryan Durrani and see what he saw out of his side eye. Just a very, very, very big hit there between the 29 and the 63. And Ryan Durrani, thinking his lucky stars, he was a little bit to the outside of this accident. He is still in the running for probably just looking for a top 30 position at this point. He's had a little bit of a rough day in that Amazon Prime car. One final look here in real time, and Corey Case just nothing he could really do there. Just an innocent bystander. He just had the problem at the worst possible time, was at the worst possible point in the middle of the racetrack. And Russell Blaze, you could see him fishtailing a little bit, just trying to brake as hard as he can. But unfortunately, not able to do anything there, and that was a hard couple of shots there for both of those drivers. They will join the other men in the garage area, but Braden Perez and Brennan Wilmington right now looking to go toe-to-toe here for the two Pacific Racing cars inside the top 10. Got a handful of laps to go in today's race. We'll see what these guys can do here on the restart. The closing laps of the SRI Performance 400 here at the Rock. It'll be 13 laps to go when we get back underway here at the Rockingham Speedway, and Braden Perez just looking to hold on for 13 more laps, but these guys are going to start from the outside lane with a slew of lap down cars down to the inside. 2 more cars out of the race as Corey Case and Russell Blaze will join Campbell Marsh, Alex Lozano, Dylan Matthews, and Esteban Lacer in the garage area. 13 to go once they go back through the race's restart zone. Perez, Wilmington, Bouchard, Bento, and Barreto will be the top 5. Green flag back out in the air, and here we go. Do we get 13 laps of green flag action to the end? A great restart for the 92, and we might have 3 wide. We might go 4 wide here off of the corner. Daniel Bouchard trapped on the outside. Bento nearly getting turned there by the 45. 3 wide off the turn 4 and a hard hit to the outside for the 07. Rogel-Dorn did not get going whatsoever. Now with 12 laps to go, it looks like it might be a match race between Brennan Wilmington and Braden Perez. Here comes Wilmington down to the inside. And the yellow flag back out. Owen Miles around. Same thing with the 19. And upside down, Bradley Ream has gone on his lid, and he gets ass-packed by the 05. Oh, there's no other way to put that, as we're under the caution flag once again. And apologies for the coarse language, but there was no way to describe that. Wyatt Walker, who caused the 3rd crash, he's also around. I have no idea what happened to Bradley Ream. Will put him upside down. But that is absolutely bad news if you're Igor Barreto, with all the lap traffic that Braden Perez and Brennan Wilmington were able to put in front of them. That's not good if you're Barreto, and we'll see if anybody else will come back down the pit lane. Ryan Durrani has been hanging in there with that hood damage. Same thing for Carson Miller, although the Miller 27th, Durrani, top 25 wouldn't be terrible for him, given how the field has really begun to thin out here. But under yet another caution flag today, and Braden Perez, you know, he's been really, really good on these restarts. I think he's going to have a really good chance to win this race. You know, same thing for Brennan Wilmington, especially with these guys in lap down cars going to be starting in between them. We'll see if the NESRN, or we'll see if the NR2003 officials will tell the lap cars to move out of the way or give them the wave around, but it'll be probably 7 laps to go in the event once we go back through the gears. Braden Perez will lead them back through the Reese's restart zone here in just a couple of moments, but we got to take a look at the big one. Bradley Ream going upside down. He, Owen Miles, and Wyatt Walker join everybody else in the garage area after another big accident, our 4th of the day here at Rockingham. Well, turn number 2 has officially become Calamity Corner with its 3rd incident of the day. Wyatt Walker overcooks it out of turn 2, goes down into Bradley Ream, and hold on, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a wild ride. A full half revolution in that big red number 2 machine, upside down, darn near doing a front flip. And he is going to skid all the way down from about maybe the halfway point of the backstretch all the way to the entrance of turn number 3. And that is about as hard of a hit I have seen Bradley take in his entire MBCS career. Sliding all the way down, hood first, completely taking out our camera. And he is going to go up onto the embankment as Wyatt Walker, he might give him another little shove here. No, Wyatt's just going to cut. He is going to give him a little bit of a shove, some roof damage on that Phasmophobia 19. And Bradley, he's going to be doing tricks on that thing, goes back down the banking and right into the path of Owen Miles, right as that 2 machine was able to set back down. Nowhere for that Pepsi Zero Challenger to go. And 3 more destroyed race cars ending up in the garage area. And now both Death Rider racing cars involved in some pretty heavy accidents, but Safe to say, Bradley Ream taking one of the wildest rides we've seen this season, shearing that roof nearly clean off. And that big red number 2 machine pretty chewed up here after another caution late in the running here at Rockingham. First on board with Wyatt Walker. We'll see what the rookie saw out of his windshield. Saw Bradley Ream going upside down. That's what he saw. All the way down. And again, we saw it last week with how dumb the LP files can be. And well, we saw it here. And, wow. Owen Miles going in for the final killing blow and officially taking out all 3 of those guys. From the viewpoint of Owen Miles, right underneath of Ream. Hello. Goodbye goes Bradley. And just a hard shot there initially. It looked like Owen was going to remain in the event. But once again, he decides, you know what, Leroy Jenkins, I just want to go back to Rochester early, and that's exactly what happened. Owen Miles destroyed in the 05. Well, we lost our roof camera for Bradley Ream. Here's the next best option, the helmet cam. Hold on. Skidding all the way down, and that is not what you want if you're Bradley Ream. Looked like he was going to be right side back up. And there goes Owen Miles, absolutely putting the final touches on an already thoroughly totaled Big Red 2 car. One final look here in real time, following with Bradley Ream going for a wild ride all the way down the back straightaway. I don't think I've seen a car slide that far in quite some time. And finally the kill and blow there from Owen Miles, taking all 3 cars out of the race. But Braden Perez holding on to this race lead here in that Hulu 92. Could today be the day he finally ends that long winless streak? We're going to find out here as we are closing down under 10 laps to go here, if I'm not mistaken, in the SRI Performance 400 at Rockingham. It will be 7 laps remaining in the SRI Performance 400, and it will be a clean slate of lead lap cars, all in line with one another here back at Rockingham. Everybody off of the lead lap is going to be given the wave around. That's not what Braden Perez or Brandon Wilmington wanted to see, but it's going to even out the competition for all these drivers. 7 miles to go here at the Rockingham Speedway. When we go back green in just a couple of moments, Perez, Wilmington, Barreto, Fogelman, and Bento, the top 5, green flag back out in the air. And another pretty good restart for Braden Perez. Everybody able to get a pretty good jump off of the line, and now Wilmington might have a ledge underneath his teammate. Here comes Brendan Wilmington. Side by side go the 2 Pacific Racing cars at the front of the field. And now Perez, he might be put down to the boondocks, and the caution flag is back out. Michael Lewis, Zachary Fitzwater around in the back straightaway. And Brennan Wilmington won the race back. Who was second at the line? Braden Perez just edging out Igor Barreto. And the yellow flag back out once again, this time for the 5th time. And, well, cautions breed cautions, and cautions are something in the water for the cautions today. Under our 5th one of the afternoon. That's short track racing for you guys. And how about this? Aaron Abel is going to come down the pit lane. You know, if this race, I don't know, because this is going to be a bona fide green-white checkered, I would think. Because we'll probably get this race restarted with maybe 3 laps to go. Probably 2 to go. I think this will be a natural green-white checkered here. I don't know if there's something wrong. Oh, suspension failure for Aaron Abel. So that's going to take him out of the race completely, and that's not what you want. I think he's been caught up in a couple of different things today, I think. But in the late stages of this race, Brennan Wilmington leads. We'll see how many laps to go we get. But Wilmington and Perez, who have swapped spots on the racetrack, currently 1-2 here at the Rock, and what has turned into a dramatic final couple of laps here. Final stage of the SRI Performance 400. Fourth accident of the afternoon, originating in turn number 2 as Michael Lewis is hooked off the front end of Zachary Fitzwater and into that safer barrier inside wall goes that Ryobi 54. Not been a great season for Fitzy, not been a great season for Michael Lewis, and that was not a great restart for Braden Perez. He was just barely able to edge out Igor Barreto for that second place spot. But now Brandon Wilmington looking to be in a picture-perfect position to be up in here in the late stages of this race. I believe it's going to be a natural green-white checkered finish here at Rockingham to end things here in the SRI Performance 400. It's once again going to be the two Pacific Racing teammates, nose to tail, side by side here off of the restart. See what these cats can do here. It's going to be a green-white checkered finish here at Rockingham, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It will indeed be a natural green-white checkered finish here at the Rockingham Speedway. Brendan Wilmington, right now the leader. Braden Perez in second. Igor Barreto runs in third. And this will be our one and only attempt at a green-white checkered finish, given that'll be taking place with 2 laps to go, so that is the point of no return. Here we go. Back through the Reese's restart zone goes the field. It is a natural green-white checkered finish. Green flag out in the air. Sticks are high in the air as well. 2 to go from Rockingham. And a great restart for both Pacific Racing Toyotas. What can Perez do? Can he get down to the inside of his owner? Right behind the 62, he might run out of time as Wilmington coming around turns 3 and 4. White flag is out. The bell lap here at Rockingham. Brendan Wilmington will take it. Braden Perez hot on his heels. He's going to lose a little bit of time in the 92, and he's going to go up the racetrack. Now the caution flag has come out here on the last lap. Does not matter. We'll race it back. And Brendan Wilmington will lead 15 laps on the afternoon. Checkered flag will wave in the air. Brendan Wilmington, the winner here at Rockingham. Brendan Wilmington, who ran in second for the majority of this race, going to break the heart of his teammate of Braden Perez, who led 60 laps today. But unfortunately, it's going to end up 1 position short from ending the drought. And I'm a little bit perplexed on why these guys are staying out. I believe it's just the way that this EXE is written. Now they'll come down the pit lane after completing 1 more lap than we anticipated. But Brendan Wilmington, who ended that long winless streak last season, will get the job done in the 62 as Pacific Racing will go 1-2. And hey, you know what? They're going to get all 3 of their cars inside the top 10, with Caleb Rose going to get an 8th place finish. It just came down to that second to final restart where Braden Perez just did not get as good of a launch as Wilmington did. Brandon just immediately threw that car down to the inside groove. And Reggie Fogelman, how about finally a good finish for Fogelman here in the regular season. He's going to finish in third. Igor Barreto and Mateus Bento are going to round out the top 5. Alex Sanvitale, Daniel Bouchard, who fell down to 7th after the slew of cautions that were happening here on track. Caleb Rose is 8th. Dano Georgi and Eric Monaco are going to round out the top 10, so a dual top 10 couple of finishes for 2/3 of the Chevy Power Racing camp. Of course, one of them ended upside down. So you'll take a look at all the cars that were knocked out from this race. Aaron Abel with a mechanical issue. Owen Miles, Bradley Ream, Wyatt Walker were involved in a crash. All 3 of them together. Russell Blaze, Corey Case, Campo Marsh, Alex Lozano, Dylan Matthews, and Esteban Lasser. Round out the 9 cars, 10 cars, excuse me, that failed to finish today's race. Rugel Dorn and Charlie Davenport 2 laps down, and Michael Lewis and Sarah Taylor were involved in an accident in themselves. You'll have seen that on your screen by now. But Brendan Wilmington getting the job done here at Rockingham as we go into our first off weekend next week with the Easter break Doesn't mean that's going to be an off weekend for all these drivers, as they've got the Old Spice Easter Grand Prix coming up here next week. And, then we're officially off into running for the longest stretch of the regular season, as I believe we've got maybe, 13 races all in a row. 16 races all in a row, stretching from the Cracker Barrel Volunteer 500 all the way down to the Uno Chicago Grill 400 between April 11th and July 11th here on the NASRN for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. And, of course, we've got FMGTC racing in that stretch as well. We'll have 3 races. In fact, 4 races in that stretch as well for the FMGTC, as well as Fuel Grand National and Fuel Sportsman. They'll be on the card as well. Plenty of racing here on the North American Sim Racing Network, as there always is. But that's going to do it here from the Rockingham Speedway. Congratulations once again to Brennan Wilmington for winning the SRI Performance 400. Like we said, next week is our first off week of the 2026 season for the great holiday of Easter. Shout out to all the everybody that celebrates that holiday. But like we said, the FMGTC has the lone race on the card for the Old Spice Easter Grand Prix at the Old Spice Raceway. They get underway at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, April 4th, the day before Easter, right here on the NASRN. We're back with the Mission Barbecue Cup Series on Saturday, April 11th for the Cracker Barrel Volunteer 500 at the Diamond Ridge Super Speedway. It's going to be a fun race. Diamond Ridge is always a blast here with these Cup cars. Like I said, Saturday at April 11th at noon Eastern Time. The first time we're going to have a race at noon, I believe, ever since the Daytona 500 here for the MBCS. But good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Here are your point standings after race number 7 of the 2026 MBCS season. And from the Carolina Sandhills of Rockingham, North Carolina, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Diamond Ridge. Until then, happy Easter to everybody that celebrates it. We'll see the FMGTC drivers on track next week in Sturgeon Bay.